Hey everyone and welcome back. As you've probably noticed by now going through your Photoshop course is that Photoshop has its fair share of selection methods. The marquee tools, lasso tools, magic wand, and so on. But what many users don't realize is that you can also use the pen tool to create very accurate selections around your subjects. There will be many times where your traditional selection methods just won't cut it. Your magic wand or quick selection tool may not work because the subject is against a similar colored background, or the subject's shape is simply too complex to use the polygonal lasso tool. With the pen tool, no selection is too complex. Let's take a look at how this works. If you haven't touched the pen tool yet, boy are you in for a treat. It's a pretty intimidating tool, but quite powerful once you get the hang of it. Of course, like your other tools, it can be found in the tools bar on the left. Now, once the pen tool is selected, on the options bar at the top, you can choose to create either a shape or a path. Technically, either one will get us to where we need to go, but to keep our document clean, we're going to be creating a path. The other options aren't too important at the moment. We'll get back to those shortly. At this point, we need to create a path around our object as accurately as possible. This all starts with a single point. From here, you want to add another point where there's a change in direction or where a curve may take place. If you're dealing with a somewhat sharp edge, a simple click may be fine. However, if you're dealing with a curve, you're going to want to perform a click and a drag in order to create that curve. Now, this is where a lot of users get frustrated. Sometimes the point following a curve will look fine, but if you run into a situation like this, where there's a sudden change in direction after creating a curve, you may find yourself with a loop that cuts through your subject. Here's how to deal with that. After creating that ugly loop, Command or Control-Z to undo the last point, and then focus your attention towards the tangent line. This is what controls your curve. As we're looking to limit the next curve, hold down your Option key on the Mac, Alt key on Windows, and then drag the direction point that's furthest from the path back towards the last anchor point that you just created. The closer it ends up to the anchor point, the tighter the next curve will be. Now, in some situations, if the change in direction is sharp enough, with your Alt or Option key held down, you can simply click on the last created anchor point to eliminate the next curve completely, unless of course you drag one out. Now you should be able to create your next point and continue the path. Another option that's available to you is rubber band. Under the gear icon in your options bar, you can turn on or off the rubber band feature. When it's on, you're going to see a visual of the next curve even before you create the anchor point. Some people like it, some people don't. It's purely a personal preference. Alright, so to save a little bit of time, now that you know how the path is being created, I'm going to speed up this part of the video just a little bit. Okay, so now that the path around the object has been closed, you may notice there are two black holes in this statue. We could deal with them after we create the selection, but let's tackle it now before we forget about them. With your pen tool still active, on your options bar, click on the Paths Operation button and choose Subtract Front Shape. This is going to allow us to create additional paths that will be subtracted from the final shape or selection. Now that that's selected, just like before, create a path where the subtracted holes should be. Good. Now that our path is complete, at this point we can go ahead and create a selection by right-clicking on your path and choosing Make Selection. In this window, the feather radius will determine if the edges of your selection are soft and by how much. A higher value will give you much softer edges, but as our subject is pretty sharp, we'll keep this at 0. And it's usually a good idea to keep anti-alias turned on to keep the edges nice and smooth. Pressing OK will create our final selection. Once your selection has been made, the sky is the limit to what you do with it. If you're simply looking to extract it from its background, a simple Command or Control plus the J key will do the trick. However, while a simple extraction like this works well for sharper objects, you may run into problems when dealing with subjects with hair or fur. The last thing you want is ugly, sharp edges on your extraction. In the next video, we're going to take a look at how you can use an amazing feature in Photoshop called Refine Edge to very accurately select and extract objects that contain hair or fur. Stay tuned.